Go through the rules a little bit for you tonight. The speaking rotation tonight was determined by drawing high cards, with the high card going first, second highest going next, and the low card going last. The drawing was in this order: Jeff Wood, Ed Motley, and Kevin Farris. Candidates will rotate, providing the first answer to questions. Each candidate has 1 minute each to provide an opening statement, 90 seconds to answer a question, and 2 minutes for a closing statement. The timekeeper will hold up a yellow card right there, after 1 minute has elapsed, and a red card when 10 seconds remain. Audience members are asked to hold applause or demonstrations of support until the forum is completed. So I guess we're ready to go. Jeff, you want to start it off?
Stand, sit.
Oh, good. Lori Henson.
Don't trust Google Maps.
Wasn't sure. Lori Henson is a Paris native who now lives in Terre Haute and teaches journalism at Indiana State University. She holds a doctorate in mass communication and studies media, religion, and politics. She was an Edgar County voter as recently as 2012. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Lori Henson.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being patient with me. So, somewhere between Dana and Chris and I got a little turnaround. Okay, so I trust that Nancy has explained the rules, so they're going to help me time the candidates' responses.
Jeff is Jeff and
so we want to thank you all for being here tonight, and we have solicited questions from readers of the Prairie Press and people in the community, so some of the questions are theirs, and so we'll go and start the first question.
No.
Oh, sorry. We'll give you, sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know what's happening here. It's slipping. Okay.
1 minute for...
1 minute for opening comments. Would you go ahead, Mr. Wood?
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for attending tonight. Pastor Cook for letting us use this facility. Most of you know me, a lot of you don't. I am Jeff Wood, born and raised in Crispin area, lived in real Paris for the last 18 years, my family. Chris who works in Charleston, Reese who attends Crestwood School. I started in law enforcement in '89, working for the Paris Police Department. Worked there a year, was fortunate enough to be hired for the Edgar County Sheriff's Department. Been there for 25 years, position I've held ever since. Due to our policy, there may be some questions later tonight that I will not be able to answer. If not, I will respectfully decline. Other than that, that's about all there is about me, so you'll know more when the night's over, so thanks again.
Good evening. I'm Edward Motley. Currently, I'm your Edgar County Sheriff. A little bit about me. I am married. My wife is Nancy. I attend the Nazarene Church, where I'm also a board member and as a trustee. Educational background, I got a master's in management, bachelor's in criminal justice. I spent 22 years with the Federal Bureau of Prisons, retired as a warden. I also an adjunct professor at Indiana State University. I've been there for 9 years. And I've also attended the PTI, which is Part-Time Institute for Police Officers, and the National Sheriff's Institute. That's pretty much about me. I'm thankful that I'm here tonight. I see the yellow card just came up on me. Again, thank you.
My name is Kevin Farris. I've been a resident of Edgar County for around 30 years. I've been married to my wife about 31 years, and I graduated college in '98 after being out of school 14 years, and I'm a perfectionist. I do everything the best I can at my ability, and I had no experience as a police officer, but I think that will be a benefit to me and to the community, because I look at things different than most people will. I look at things like most people say the glass of water is half full or half empty. I'm just glad when I got a quarter glass. I've learned to do things with little, but do a lot with it. And thank you.
Thank you. We'll get started with, this doesn't seem to turn off no matter which direction. So, okay. The first question that we wanted to pose to the candidates is, if money was not a problem, what is one thing you would do as Edgar County Sheriff?
Well, if money wasn't a problem, I reckon probably the first thing would be manpower. You know, we could saturate the county with deputies, saturate them with vehicles, all the best equipment available. We'd probably look like CSI when we see us coming down the road. Unfortunately, that's not the way it is, and we have to make do with what we do have. You know, an unlimited source of money would be great, but I don't see it in the near future. But if it does, well, the first thing you'll see is a lot of cars in Edgar County. Thank you.
Sheriff
Manpower. Manpower is a problem. I look at the correctional officers. We have 4 correctional officers on duty around the clock. We need at least 7. I would definitely I would probably look at least hiring 4 more, make it 8. When you have overtime issues, the more staff you have, the better, the less overtime. Cars would be nice. Look at technology. We don't have enough technology in our jail. We don't have computers in our cars. Matter of fact, State Farm donated 10 computers to us, and we have not installed them yet, again, because of resources. So if we had the money, those would be in. It also takes care of looking at 911. The dispatchers wouldn't have to run 28s, 27s. The officers could do it from their cars if we had the money. I would like to say that if we, depending on how much money we're getting here, if it's $12, $15 million, we're going to build a new facility. Our facility is 120-some years old right now, and it's deteriorating every day. But you keep putting a Band-Aid on it, trying to keep fixing it, it's going to fall apart eventually. Thank you.
I think body cameras on the police officers that would protect the police officers and protect the citizens. And one thing I think is we'd have to clean up the justice system, the courthouse and stuff, is what I believe. And I don't know about the cars and stuff, but I think we'd have to evaluate that and see what we would need. Why I wouldn't be able to judge that right now.
So, thank you, gentlemen. And our second question is something you alluded to, which is, of course, we do live in a financially constrained world. And so, given those constraints, what would you make your #1 priority with the money we have?
Again, back to the #1 priority would be staffing. We're short deputies, we're short correctional officers. Having one officer in the jail working his 8-hour shift or her 8-hour shift is not safe. Not safe for the inmates, it's not safe for the staff, it's not safe for the community. Escape happens. Our jail is built and there's several sections. If an officer's on the top floor of the old section, somebody could easily be trying to cut themselves, trying to hang themselves. Well, we're going to be short-handed trying to get over there to help them. So I would definitely look at more correctional officers as my top priority, followed by deputies. With the deputies being thin, we have 629 square miles of coverage, square miles that we have to travel. One deputy cannot do that by himself. If he's down at Oliver, something happens in Scotland, it takes him a little bit of time to get up there. Therefore, I mean, again, more deputies, at least 2 on per shift. I know some people, I mean, against the idea of having more deputies, but it's for your safety. It's for our safety. So, thank you.
Again, I would have to evaluate the situation. I really couldn't judge what, because I don't know the different things that's going on right now, because they do keep everything so quiet at the jail. I would want to make it transparent for citizens would know what was going on at the jail in the courthouse and things.
Okay. Thank you. So the prayer request is written. Jeff, I'm sorry, Jeff. No. I thought. Please go ahead.
Well, I have to go along with the sheriff on this one. The manpower is definitely a big problem with the sheriff's department. Like I said, there are safety issues, there are manpower issues. People in the jail are put in jeopardy. People out in the county are put in jeopardy. You know, you don't have quick response time if somebody's at the other end of the county. It's always been a problem, and it may always be a problem, but would be one of the most important things as of right now that needs to be addressed, is the fact that we do need more manpower. So, I mean, there's things that happen and people are put in situations that we hate to see them put into. But, you know, with limited money and limited manpower, we do what we can do. So, thank you.
Thank you. So the prayer request has recently written about the emergency telephone system board's plans to remove the dispatchers from the sheriff's department payroll and make them 911 employees. Do you support that plan?
I believe that probably, I don't know much about it, but I think that probably best. That way it would give the funds more to the jail probably, you know, for different things. That's about all I can say, because I really don't know.
Mr. Wood?
When this first came about, I had mixed feelings about it. After some time to think about it, you know, I think it might be a good thing for 911 to take over the dispatchers. It would make some more available money for the sheriff's department to invest in corrections officers, road deputies, vehicles, equipment, so on and so forth. You know, the way I understand it, it's going to be on a trial basis for maybe 1 year to see how it works. You know, it might work, it may fail. But I'm all for giving it a shot and see what happens. I know there's a lot of training goes into 911 and the dispatchers, and so I think we should try it for a year anyhow. Thank you.
I think there's a misconception about 911 dispatchers. 911 is a separate entity. The dispatchers are a separate entity. Dispatchers answer 911 calls. 911 is not the dispatcher. I'm still probably disagree that they need to take it over. It needs to be working relationships between the 911 director and the sheriff's office. If a problem exists with the dispatcher because they make a mistake on a call, the director should be training that dispatcher on that procedure. That's what the director is. They're over the 911 system. I am not, the sheriff's not over it. If there's an issue with the dispatcher, then the sheriff will take care of it. But 911 right now to me should not be separated. It should be right where it is, part of the sheriff's office. Thank you.
All right. One of the issues that arose in coming up with questions for this forum was the trouble that's been reported with the two-way radio system for transmissions that don't always go through for deputies. When they are in isolated areas, obviously, their two-way radios are essential. How would you deal with this issue?
Well, this is an issue that's very important to me. You know, I go to work every night, strap on the belt, I take two things. I take a gun, I take a radio. That gun, if I ever have to use it and I pull the trigger, I expect it to go bang. My radio, that I use every night, numerous times, when I key that mic, I expect somebody to answer me on the other end. At this time, we've had numerous problems with not being able to get people hear us on the other end. We can't hear them when they're calling us. The city cops have been sent out to check on us, to check on our welfare. There's no rhyme or reason to it at this time. You know, sometimes it's the way the wind blows. If it's raining, not raining, the way the sun's shining, I don't know. But these radios need to work, whether we're in this church, we're in somebody's barn, we're in a holler, we're out in the middle of a cornfield. That is our lifeline. And that is probably, if I'm elected sheriff, would be one of my #1 priorities, is safety for the people and the guys out there with their communications. Thanks.
The radio system has been a problem. We have talked to the techs that come out all the time to try to repair those problems. But something is, it's them that have to repair, not us. It is a safety thing. The radios have gotten better. We've looked at a couple of new things to do, putting in portable antennas to make it an internet-based radio, so that wherever they are, two-way will work. The mobiles work fine, but it's that two-way radio system. And again, I've had 2 different companies come out and look at them. And for the safety of that officer, the safety of those in the jail, I don't want anybody out there, especially on midnight, and we don't know where they are, or they can't get help. But we work on these radios probably once a month and try to find something. But sometimes it storms, they'll knock out the tower, and therefore we don't know it. There's things that happen in that console that happens to keep the radio from working. But again, it is a safety thing, and that's very paramount.
Again, I had to evaluate the situation, but it sounds like to me, I agree with both men, that something has to be done for the safety of the community and for the police officers. And I think, you know, maybe some way to get the computers hooked up that Mr. Motley talked about, and maybe some way to go through them to help communication. Thank you.
Thank you. One of the issues that was on the minds of press readers is the issue of illegal drugs in Edgar County. And several questions were asked specifically about heroin. And according to the Edgar County coroner's records, opiate deaths related to heroin, morphine, and methadone are on the rise in Edgar County. There have been 3 such deaths in Edgar County this year and 6 deaths since 2008. Do you think this is a problem, and what would you plan to do to address it as sheriff?
Well, I can say right now, as sheriff, meth used to be the drug of choice. Heroin is now coming into the town, into the county. My officers are on traffic stops. It's a good place to start looking for drugs. Matter of fact, the last 2 weeks, they have pulled over 2 people bringing heroin into the county. So I know my officers are out there trying to do what they're supposed to do. But the traffic stop, I think we need to go back to our ESEP, or it used to be East Central Drug Task Force, that we're no longer part of. I don't know why that they stopped having us there. But if you have that, that means you got to have an extra officer who can spend his time with that particular agency. You can't have him working patrol and working something else. He has to be fully impacted on that drug team. Good intelligence from other agencies, and hopefully we'll get the multi-districts, other counties, other local agencies, and I would definitely want our officers to keep working with them. Training is very important for the officers. They need to learn more about the drug, especially heroin. Again, heroin is the new thing coming in. So, thank you.
I watch news a lot, and I've seen about 6 months ago they said that heroin is overtaking Illinois for the drug of choice. I believe that we can't really do nothing about the heroin problem and the other drugs if we can't clean up our justice system in the courthouse. Because if they turn around and let people go that should be arrested and prosecute people that shouldn't be prosecuted, that I believe that we have to do something with the justice system in the courthouse, or we can't do nothing with the drug problem. So, thank you.
Well, the number one thing as a road deputy with the heroin right now, meth has always been the big thing in Edgar County. When it was new years ago, we had a lot of training, done a lot of classes, went to a lot of schools. I'm certified with the DEA on methamphetamine and methamphetamine labs. Heroin just kind of drifted in here lately. The heroin of today is different than the heroin that we dealt with 20 years ago. From my perspective of it, just we need more training on it, what to look for. We kind of know who the people are that has it. Knowing who's got it and getting it from them is two different things. I think training is a big thing right now in the heroin identification. Like I say, it's tragic because we've lost several lives in Edgar County, and I've heard there's more overdoses reported that a lot of us don't hear about. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Still on the topic of illegal drugs, do you think that the department should revive a multi-jurisdictional task force, drug task force, and assign a deputy full-time to that work?
I believe that we evaluate the situation, see what we would have to do, and I think that it probably would be a good idea. They had that before, I remember, that it seemed like it worked. And they had certain police officers on that. And I think as long as we have good cops doing it, we'll be fine. But if we have bad cops that's doing that, like we have had in the past, that I think it would work for, if we had good police officers on that.
Yes, I think a task force is a great idea. We had a task force several years ago. I was a part of that task force. During that time, there was a lot accomplished in Edgar County. A lot of drug raids made, a lot of drugs seized, a lot of money seized, vehicles seized. And I have talked with deputies, city police, city chiefs, and everybody's willing to make a go at it again. The problem with task force is, it takes everybody to work as a team. There's no I in task force, I reckon, what you want to say. I'm a big supporter of task force, but everybody has to work together so the right hand knows what the left hand's doing. We have people out there now that the city's doing one thing, the county's doing the other. We step on their toes, they step on our toes. We interfere with something they're working on, they interfere with something we're working on. So, if we can all get together as a team, hopefully everything will work out for the best. Though we'll never stop it, we can hopefully slow it down and curb it a little bit. Thank you.
As I said in my earlier comments, we need a multitask group to work together. Unfortunately, again, it comes down to resources. You have to be able to assign one person to that task force and let them work it, let them develop their leads, work with the other officers, and again, keep them from stepping on each other's toes, but they got good intelligence. A lot of the counties want to work with us, again, but we also need the resources. And I would hate to take a deputy, we got 7, you take one off the road now, then we go back to having one deputy on it at a time. So if we could definitely have the resources, the multitask, the group would work. Thank you.
Thank you. In the past 4 years, one of the concerns has been the large turnover at the Sheriff's Department among employees. What can be done to retain good employees? Start with Mr. Wood.
Well, I'm not 100% sure. Like I say, I'm not involved in the hiring of employees, I don't know how the screening process works for them. I know they take tests. Tests are offered. I know a lot of our people are hired anymore are young people. They're energetic. They're eager. You know, the jobs in the jail are stepping stones. So they start at the jail, get some training. They have a chance to go on. They go on to bigger and better things. Some of them, you know, there's conflicts in the jail. They move on for this reason. You know, I know, you know, the county spent a lot of money in the last several years on training for people to not stick around very long. You know, they've talked about signing contracts. I know I was involved in one of them several years ago, and they say you can't do it. So, you know, make it a exciting place to work. You know, maybe hiring older, mature people instead of the younger kids. Maybe that'll help. I don't know. Just have to see. Thanks.
One of the problems we have with people leaving, they're ready to retire. I've had several, especially in dispatch, they've had 20, 30 years in. They're leaving. If they want to count that as high turnover, yes. But they're due to retire, they want to leave. But you have an officer, again, we'll look back at corrections, one officer by himself, and then maybe he has to do a double, 16 hours. That's called burnout after a while. The pay is substantial, but it could be better. Our health benefits could be a lot better to retain people. But a lot of people who leave are not dissatisfied, but a lot of them have moved up. I've seen some go become a correctional officer to a deputy, correctional officer to a police officer, and it's more money. It's better health care for them where they're going. But again, the big thing for the turnover right now has been retirement.
Again, I can't say for sure, but as a citizen, I believe what it is the officers don't get respected they should get. They feel like a lot of times, and I think a lot of it is they don't give respect out. And I think it needs to go back to the old days where people gave respect and respect back. And I think that would help out a lot and keep that, and again, with the wages, I think would probably help in that health insurance. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The next question has to do with the day-to-day work of sheriff, and the question is, if elected, will you participate in regular road patrol? Starting with Sheriff Motley.
Well, Sheriff, hello? Got me? As sheriff, I do go on the road. But again, you have to remember, sheriff is an administrator. They have to run the day-to-day operations. Being short-handed, yes, I'll go out on the road myself. I will pull people over. I have chats with them all the time when they're speeding. And it's usually a friendly chat. It's the officer's discretion to give a ticket if they want to. It's my discretion if I want to give a ticket. I think people would rather take a ticket from me than rather listen to me talk for a while to them. But a sheriff it's administrative. There's a lot of things you have to do day to day, a lot of paperwork. You're trying to hire the right people, a lot of reports. And again, if you get out on the road, that's great because you need to be with the community. Let the community see you. So one thing I did was marked all the cars so they know that we're out there. They see, they'll know we're there. I like to go to the schools, which we do now, especially in the country. Shiloh is so far out, they do not have protection. But again, as a sheriff, I go out there, and again, I do the road too.
I think the sheriff should go out, but again, like you said, the administrative part would be very important. I mean, you have to know the finances of the jail, and again, I would want to make it so transparent that people could see where their tax money is going. That way, they could know that they're getting their money's worth and everything else. And I can't see not to go out and be with the community and show yourself and everything. Thank you.
Yeah, for the most part, the sheriff is an administrative job. But I think, you know, if you've been in it, my end of it, being a road patrol guy for years, you still like to get out there and do some of the stuff, you know. I have no problem with going out at night and going on a drug raid or you know, doing drug busts. Like I said, there's a lot of administrative stuff you've got to do in the daytime. You can't do it at night. You know, I've been on nights for a long time. But yeah, I think the sheriff, you know, doing a little more road work would free up somebody for another shift later on in the day or night. But for the most part, you know, I would like to think that I can be administrative and also participate in the activities going on elsewhere in the county. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Also on the topic of the day-to-day work of sheriff, can you talk a bit about how you think about the balance between the sheriff's role? You all, if the sheriff is in charge of a budget in excess of $1 million, what is the balance between law enforcement and administration in the role of sheriff? Make sense? Okay. How do you think about those two aspects of the job, and how do you approach the law enforcement aspect with the budgetary administration? Okay, Mr. Graves.
I believe that, again, you're transparent, let everybody know how the money is spent. That way they know and they feel comfortable with what's going on. And the law enforcement, I'd have to learn, because I have not been in law enforcement, which both gentlemen here have, and I appreciate that. But again, I have to evaluate and see. You know. Thank you.
Well, I would like to think, you know, I've had to live on a budget about all my life to some extent. You know, like I said, I work nights a lot. I don't see a lot of daytime stuff, but I know as a sheriff, you know, by being on the road over the years, I see stuff that I think we need out there that we don't have. Would I be a little more apt to buy stuff like that, spend money on stuff that the guys need on the road? Probably. Some people think, well, you only use it once or twice a year. But you know, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So yeah, I think, you know, even with a $1 million budget, I'd like to think there's a little money to play with to get some of the things that we need out there. Thanks.
I'd be the first to say that we don't get $1 million, but each for the budget. You have to watch your scheduling. If you can do some overlapping to keep from having the overtime will eat you up. What we spend in overtime, sometimes I believe that we should be able to hire another body for that, rather than keep paying the overtime. My budget is just what it is. You try to spend it the best way you can, but sometimes you do go over, and you want to spend it right. There are things that everybody needs. Each department needs something. The officers need something, corrections need something, the inmates need things, dispatcher needs things, the road patrol needs things, but you just have only so much money to spend. Anytime a deputy or a correctional officer comes and says, I need this, we try to get it for them. We have several funds that are available that I try to spend out of those funds sometimes. It doesn't cost you. This is money like the inmates' FTA, Failure to Appear Fund. It's not free money, but it comes from the inmates. And that's kind of money we use sometimes to buy certain things for them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. As it was mentioned earlier that the current jail is more than a century old, and so the issue is pressing about how long it can continue to serve us, and what would be your plan to replace it? So this question starts with Mr. Wood.
Well, right now I'm not sure how there can be any plans to replace it. I don't think there's the money to do it. I don't think the You'll be allowed to do it by the county board. I believe the citizens have to vote for it on a referendum. I don't believe that would happen right now. You know, it's like I said earlier, we just have to keep it going the best we can with what we've got to work with. You know, we maintain it. You know, sometimes our scores aren't the best on the inspections, but you know, it's been like that for years. It's nothing new. You know, I've said before, if the people don't like it, they don't have to come back. And, well, they keep coming back time after time. You know, it's same name, different days. We're going to have to live with it for a while, or change our ways. Thanks.
It's true, the jail is over 100 years old. We fix it every day. Water leaks, sewage leaks, cells. I've spent a lot of money repairing cell blocks. One thing for safety is try to keep the inmates in. So at night, from midnight to 8 o'clock, they're locked in their rooms. They're not freely running in their day room area. Again, we're back to that one officer, and that's the safety factor for that officer and for you. When they say we don't have the funds or the resources to build a new jail, that is true. However, you got to start planning someplace, and now's the time to start planning. You don't have to build a jail tomorrow, but down the road, this jail is not going to last that long. But you need to plan, and there's agencies out there who will take you in, will invite you out, and teach you how to plan to build a jail. I try to get the county board and myself to go out to Denver. Again, this is a free trip. It didn't cost the taxpayer a dime, but they teach you how to plan from day one to the time you're ready to build. It may take us 20 years, but we're going to have to do it. And there's ways of taking the jail and I hate to say it, making money off of it. A lot of other jails, $50 a day for an inmate. You put 10 inmates in, you got $500. I think that's the math is right. That helps pay for a lot of things. Thank you.
I believe that we'd have to evaluate the situation, because I haven't been in that jail for years, thank God, either side. But I think that we could turn around and do like Mr. Motley said, that go out and learn how to do it and do it right. And again, I think that would help my the way I am. I turn around and learn how to do a lot with a little. And I ain't saying I could go out and remodel a jail or build a new one, but I'm just saying that I think to learn the right way would be the proper way to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been mentioned, I believe, that we have a fleet of 7 vehicles, is that right, in our department?
More than that.
More than that, okay. Can you clarify how many vehicles are in our fleet, and what is the plan, what is your plan to keep those vehicles rotated and in their patrol to keep their longevity going? This question actually goes to Mr. Motley. I'm sorry. I believe so. On my list.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Currently, we have 10 vehicles in the fleet. The average age on the vehicle is probably about 140,000 miles. Right now, I asked the county board in my budget to let me get 2 new vehicles for next year. The maintenance cost on an old vehicle at 140,000, 150,000 miles is costly. I'll use Mr. Wood's vehicle right now. He's got a 2006 Dodge Ram, I believe. Needs about $2,100 worth of repairs. The vehicle's worth about $3,500. I got to make a decision now. Do I fix that vehicle, and he's driving another vehicle. He's probably got a lot of miles on, but that particular vehicle has a new engine, a new drivetrain, and a new rear end. Of course, it doesn't smell the greatest either, as we call it, a cheese wagon. But maintenance costs are up. But for me, again, if we can replace cars at least every year, at least 1 car a year, we'll get our fleet down to something reasonable for them. Again, it's a safety factor for the officer while he's out there.
I believe, I really can't say anything about it because I don't know the situation, but I think that, you know, what we would have to do is evaluate the situation again. I keep saying it, but I really can't say because I ain't been in that situation. So, sorry.
Well, like the sheriff said, I am driving probably one of the oldest vehicles up there. I think we have 2 or 3 2006 vehicles on down to, I believe the sheriff's is probably one of the newer vehicles, which is 3 to 4 years old. Years ago, I know they were rotated about every 2 years, or 2 vehicles were rotated per year. So about every 4 years, you have a new vehicle to drive. I know there have been money restraints. Things have changed over the years. Types of vehicles we've been using. Like today, we use more 4-wheel drives. We have access to other places. There's a couple of cars on there. But yes, we do. That's something that needs to be addressed fairly soon, or we're going to be out of vehicles. I don't know if we have any spares at this time. If another vehicle breaks down, we're probably going to have to share rides. But that vehicle is a big problem, and if there's a better way to do it, rotate them more often, get rid of them at lower miles, so we get a little money out of them. That'll be something we have to look into. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question involves the many residents of Edgar County who live in rural areas, and whether there should be a full-time detective to investigate crimes in those areas. This question goes to Mr. Farris.
I believe most likely it should be, I don't know about a full-time, I don't know how much crime is out in just rural areas, but I think that people would have to, maybe certain officers can do that, or, like you said, certain detectives just for that area. I don't believe, I really can't say because I don't know how much crime is out in just rural areas, but I imagine down that the meth labs and stuff, that they had so much trouble, they had a lot of crime out there. But I have talked to a lot of people lately, like in I think it was Grandview area. They said they're having a lot of crime out there and theft, and I noticed a lot of theft's been going around the way I've been talking to people, and I've heard a lot of different things, so I'd have to evaluate the situation again and see what would have to be done. Thank you.
Well, yeah. Yes, we do need a full-time detective. A lot of officers investigate their own cases. The problem with that is the fact that one officer investigates something, another officer investigates. Another officer investigates something, and their paths never cross. So you don't realize maybe they're working on the same case, just 2 different areas. Once again, money's a factor here, money and manpower. Kind of the problem with a lot of things. But yeah, a full-time detective that sees every case come across his desk and tie this case to that case. Detectives have to do a lot of legwork, they do a lot of phone work, they have to travel to other departments, they work in conjunction with other departments, city, state, county. It's a lot of work for one man, plus they're on call all the time. So whether you have several part-time detectives, one full-time, but like I say, once again, it's back to money and manpower. But yes, I do believe a full-time detective is needed in Edgar County. Thanks.
Should you repeat that question one more time?
Sure. The question is, for those who live in rural areas, should there be a full-time detective to investigate crimes in those areas?
The sheriff's office does have a full-time detective. He's also the chief detective, or chief deputy. I was fortunate to get a guy from PD who was a detective over there for 20-some years. I will give him credit for solving a lot of things that he's been doing, but you do need a detective. The patrol officers can investigate things, but again, everything they do, thanks to my new detective, they bring things to him. Our evidence lockers, our evidence, everything's being done the way it should be done right now. And I give him a lot of credit for revamping our evidence and our detective side. But yes, we do need a detective.
The next question is, the Illinois Freedom of Information Act requires that law enforcement furnish information related to arrests no later than 72 hours after the incident. How will you comply with those Freedom of Information requirements? And this question goes to Mr. Wood.
Well, I'm not up on the law of the Freedom of Information Act. I know it's utilized a lot in Edgar County. I think that some cases, while pending investigation, I don't know for sure that we're allowed to give all that information. That's just something right now I'd have to look into a little farther. Consult with the state's attorney on what our do's and don'ts are on that, what we have for policy. That's about all I can do on that right now.
A FOIA request, usually we have 5 days to answer them. I have a FOIA officer who handles all the requests that come in. You do need one because there's a lot of work. Sometimes we get things we got one from Florida right now that's going to take quite a few hours. But we will get it done. If we need extensions on FOIA, all you have to do is send the request back to them and say, hey, we're going to be a little longer, but we'll get your information. And most people understand that. There's some people, though, that think they have to have it today. And sometimes you just can't get it that fast. We were not computerized years back, and there's things that we're going to have to go back and hard files and to look for them. But to have a FOIA, we do have a FOIA officer, and I will say she does an excellent job also. Thank you.
I believe that in Edgar County, I've noticed over the last 20 years or 30 years that it depends who you are if your stuff is reported in the paper. I believe that, like the newspapers here, that certain people let out information that they want out and what shouldn't be. I think that they should have it all reported in the newspaper, whoever is arrested, and be out there. Not just certain people, it depends on your name, who you are. And I think it should all be out there. If you've done it, it should be out there. But if you've been accused of it, not all people's guilty just because they, been accused of it. But in Edgar County, I've noticed, like I said, over the last 20, 30 years, it depends who you are, who you know, if yours is in there or not. And I don't agree with that. I think if you're going to print it on one person, it should be for all. And the same thing for arrest. If one person done it, you're going to arrest that person for it, you should arrest them all. You can't pick and choose who you do it to, just because of their name or who they are. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The next question is regarding a recent trend in the judicial process and law enforcement around the country, and that is dealing with drug courts. Do you think that Edgar County should have a drug court similar to other counties? And this question goes to Mr. Motley.
I couldn't, to answer that, how many judges, they're going to have to bring another judge into our court system. Drug courts would be great. Maybe that particular judge would start sentencing some of our folks who are getting caught rather than slapping them on the wrist and turning them loose. Our jail becomes a revolving door. As I said earlier, there's the same people keep coming in and out, in and out. Probably a drug court would be good. Some of them probably don't need to go to jail. Some of them probably get on home confinement. Some get on probation. Go to drug classes. But if you keep coming back 2 or 3 times, let that judge in that particular court sentence them. This plea bargaining has got to stop a little bit. I think, again, the home confinement is fine, first timers. You don't want to lock somebody away forever. But after 3 or 4 offenses, it's time to go bye-bye for a while. Thank you.
I believe, again, a lot of, like Mr. Motley said, that they let some people go and some people just keep coming back and back. But I think a lot of it's to do with the names and who you know and whoever else. That's why we got to get rid of this bias of who is, who you can arrest and who you can't arrest. I heard there's 2 lists in town. One you can arrest, and one you can't arrest. It depends who they are. So I think that needs to stop. Thank you.
I'm not real familiar with the drug courts in other counties or how they use. I don't know, yes, there's a drug problem. A lot of our cases are drug related. I'm not sure that a separate system's needed just for drug cases. That's amounts to another judge, more time in Edgar County. I think if the judges we have would just start sentencing more people and incarcerating a few of them and doing it at the level it's done now, I believe we can move on. We don't have to have a separate court system just to handle the drugs. They just need to take them as they come, because I don't believe they're overburdened with what we're getting right now. Thank you.
All right, so this is our final question of the evening. And can you talk about, as sheriff, how will you foster an environment that ensures fair treatment of all people who are served by the Edgar County Sheriff's Department? This question goes to Mr. Farris.
Again, I think the bias needs to stop and not be who you are or what who you're related to or who you know. That everybody should be treated equal. If you've done the crime, you need to do the time. But like Mr. Wood said, that he thinks that they should be sentenced more and everything like that. They just turned around and took my son to jury trial and he was something alcohol by a minor where he drew triple zeros. And they want to convict him for 2 years. Give him 2 years on this. And I don't understand where they get this from, where they can do what, but they let these drug dealers off, like Mr. Motley said, and slap their hands and they're right back in. But they pick and choose who they want to go after. And it should be fair to everyone. The bias should stop. And not pick and choose who you want to, we're going to turn around and know you for something alcohol by a minor and give you a year. But yet, this guy got heroin. And he's going to get slapped on the hand and get confinement. I'm sorry, I don't believe in that. I think it should stop.
Could you repeat that one, please?
Sure. As sheriff, how will you foster an environment that ensures fair treatment of all people served by the Edgar County Sheriff's Department?
Well, you like to think that when you go out there every day, you're going to treat everybody fair. But consider some of the people we deal with. A lot of times you don't start out on the best of terms when you first meet. Are we fair? Yeah, I think for the most part we are, but do things get out of control sometimes? Yeah, things get out of control sometimes. A lot of these people have the ability to dictate how they're treated at a certain time. Things escalate, tempers flare, people on drugs, people on alcohol, and not that everybody's out to get anybody, but sometimes you have to fight, and there's winners and there's losers, and arrests are made, and that's life. That's the way it goes. Thanks.
We have policies in place that state that you will treat everybody equally. Just because of a name or their financial status, everybody is treated the same no matter what. My correctional officers, sometimes will raise their voice inside as an inmate. You don't have to do that. If I hear them, I always counsel them a little bit. You always tell them, don't forget, you go home every night. They don't. So you got the upper hand. You don't have to get down to their level. So therefore, treat them. If you treat somebody with respect, you'll get the respect back no matter how bad they are. If you walk up to a car and you give them a ticket, or you think you're going to give a ticket and be nice to the person, most people tell you thank you for giving me the ticket. Some won't, but The majority of people will. But just treat people with respect, and I think that's what we do. I have never, if I get a complaint from a citizen about an officer, I just want to know who it is, when it happened, and I'll go investigate it myself. If we had our in-car cameras again, which protects my officers and protects you, that they can go back and look at the tape, because I know I had an officer who was getting a complaint on, we went back and looked at the tape, called the lady and said, hey, this didn't happen quite the way you're saying, right? And she says, oh, because she's on camera. So, thank you.
All right, that concludes the forum for this evening. Can we, oh, I'm sorry. It's, that concludes the question part. We would now ask you to provide 2 minutes of a closing statement, and we will begin with Mr. Wood. Thank you.
Well, once again, this is it. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. The reason I'm here is for, like these two guys, I want to be sheriff. I want to be seen as a working sheriff, working with my deputies, ensure that all people are, for the most part, treated fair, with dignity, with respect. I can say sometimes that wavers a little bit. The people matter. The people of Edgar County. I've worked with them, worked for them 25 years. I want to make efforts to attend board meetings, 911 meetings, work with mayors, chiefs of police, other police officials in Edgar County, outside Edgar County, following surrounding counties, other states even sometimes we have to work with. And you asked the questions, we gave your answers, so on November 4th, you have a decision to make. Hope everyone uses their right to make it. Thank you.
First, I'd like to thank Horace Brockton Church. I'd like to thank Prairie Press, Lori Henson for being a moderator, and especially you, most importantly, the voter. It's been a privilege to be your sheriff for the past 4 years, and I'm asking you also on November the 4th that you vote for me. I want to thank you for electing me sheriff in 2010. I knew when I took the office there'd be many challenges ahead. Over the past 4 years, I've made many changes to that office, some not popular with the status quo. Being sheriff is no easy task. You must weigh the needs of everyone and not just a few. You must make tough decisions and then stand by that decision that you have made. I pledged during the 2010 campaign that I would bring professionalism, integrity, and honesty to the office, and I believe that I've done that. And I will continue to make positive changes over the next 4 years when I'm reelected as sheriff. When I was elected sheriff, I did not accept health care or retirement. That saved the county $19,000 a year. Actually, about $76,000 over a 4-year period. When I'm elected sheriff, again, I will not take the health care, I will not take the retirement, nor will I accept the salary increase that they want to give for elected officials. I think that money should be used back in the office of the sheriff. I believe we're on the right track and to make the right changes as we go forward. If you have any questions of me after this meeting, please stop by. I'll be here for the night. Ask me if a question wasn't answered tonight. Thank you again for being here tonight. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. And remember, November the 4th, vote Motley. Thank you.
I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank Mr. Motley. He has given respect back to the police, and I think he stopped a lot of the harassment from the police. And anymore, he stopped the harassment from the police and bullying. But I think now it's time to work on the courthouse to stop the harassment and bullying from the courthouse. And if I become sheriff, that's what I will focus on getting our justice system where it matches the police. Because I believe the police are a lot more respectful than what they used to be. And I think that we can work on the justice system to get it respectful and back where it should be. And give everybody an equal chance, no matter what their name is or anything. So, thank you.
Well, thank you all for coming out tonight. We appreciate this, and we appreciate the participation of the candidates. Let's give them one more round of applause.